Jesus is nearing the end of his mortal life. The thought of separation from the children he had just redeemed torments him. He must not be forgotten. He has to remain. But how? And in what form is he to remain with us? That was the secret and the work of his heart.
When he was born at Bethlehem, a word which means the house of bread, and lay on the straw, which then seemed to bear an ear of the true wheat, he somehow foretold the form he has to take on the earth after his ascension. At Canaan and in the desert, when he multiplied the loaves, he revealed the Eucharist and also promised to give it to us. He promised with an oath that he would give us his flesh to eat and his blood to drink.
When the time had come for the institution of the sacrament of his love, Jesus entrusted to no one the care of its preparation. He himself selected the place, Jerusalem, where sacrifices of the old law is done. He chose the house, the cenacle, and assigned his attendants Peter, the disciple of faith, and John, the disciple of love. He appointed the time, the last hours of his life. Jesus longed to do this great task of love, for he said, "I have eagerly desired to share this Paschal meal with you before I suffer." That night, he raised his head to the Father. He gave him thanks for the gift of the Eucharist to men. He took the bread which was to become his body, the chalice of wine which was to become his blood, through the power of the sacramental words. "This is my body. This is my blood." The simple species of bread and wine became his whole self, to transcend time and space, to become our Emmanuel, God who is always with us. Here then is the topmost limit, the highest degree of the power of Jesus' love for men, far greater than God being man and God dying for men. In the Eucharist, love achieved its masterpiece.
Man can love to the extent of giving his possessions, of sharing his life, of being united bodily and morally, but never to the point of becoming food of his beloved. Love can't go any further. Can Christ give more than himself?
What means will Jesus have to take to perpetuate the sacrament of his body, soul, and divinity? If the Incarnation was the work of the Holy Spirit and the Last Supper was personally carried out by him, who then would be worthy to preside in such mystery in the future? A man? Yes. Jesus commissioned mortal man, his priest, to cooperate with the Holy Spirit to effect his new incarnation. Jesus said, Do this in memory of me, subjecting himself, the immortal King, to his priests. St. Thomas once said that the dignity of priesthood surpasses even that of angels. St. Francis of Assisi affirmed this when he said, "If I saw an angel and a priest, I would bend my knee first to the priest, then to the angel."
Contemplate this. During the Mass, throngs of angels surround the altar, watching the priest's every movement, awaiting him to pronounce those words that would call forth their God. And to his orders, the Lord obeys. By his word, Jesus takes the lowly form of bread and wine.
Is not the priest the happiest of all men, who at consecration has the most intimate communication with God himself? He holds God himself in his hands, looks at him, converses with him, and God in return looks at him with ineffable love. What privilege Jesus has given to his priests! Here lies the very essence of every priestly vocation, ordained to the holy orders to minister to the King's presence on earth. All other functions are secondary. Priests are here mainly for the Eucharist.